Hello everyone, welcome to this tutorial on how to process your stream ecology data. What I have in front of me here is a very small demonstration data set here with only 40 data points. Yours will have much more. And as just an interesting illustration as to how big some of these data sets can get in the real world, I have here something from the Salmon River in Idaho, and this is an actual study that was conducted of benthic invertebrates. And let's scroll down to see how many data points we actually have here. I'm laughing because of how huge it is. And yeah, it's got over 3,400 data points. So this is more in line with data sets in the real world. So anytime you think that what we're doing here with Excel is tedious, so I could just pull out a calculator and do all this stuff, well, that's not something I'd want to do with a data set this big. So, okay, so back to our stream ecology data. So here we have a small manageable one just for demonstration purposes. You will have something arranged in really in an identical way, but of course more data points, where you have order in one column, you have how many the person actually found, and whether or not it was in a pool or a riffle, P or R. So notice that we have some mixed orders here of various invertebrates. Some are insects, some are not. Some are related arthropods, and some are bivalves and so forth. But we have mixed orders here. They're all benthic invertebrates. And they're in the order in which they were taken in the field. So how do we group all of these orders together so we can actually count them and do some interesting things with whether or not they were found in riffles or pools or all that sort of good stuff? Well, we are going to sort these data, and the way you do that is you left click and drag the whole set of data with all the columns including the headers, and anywhere that you've clicked and dragged you right click, and I'm going to sort, custom sort. So I am going to sort these in accordance with the order column, which means that, for instance, this first entry here, bivalvia, 6 were found, and they were found in a riffle. This whole row will be sorted along with bivalvia, so you won't lose any disconnection between the number or whether or not they were found in a pool or a riffle. So that's why we want to sort in this customized way. And we'll sort from A to Z, so they'll be in alphabetical order. Click OK, and there you go. Everything is in alphabetical order and grouped together. So here we have the annelids and the arachnids, and one bivalve was found, and some decapods, and all grouped together. So the next thing you want to do, and I actually have this prepared in another tab here, a good idea is to highlight in color any colors you wish, and alternating bands of color here, so it's going to make all of the highlighting of ranges and all that kind of stuff much easier. At least it's easier for me anyway. So this is a recommended way to go. So just color your ranges so the annelids are green and the arachnids are pink, and then I'm alternating red and pink here. You could choose any color scheme, doesn't really matter. So we would like to know in each group of these orders here how many were found in pools, riffles, and the total number of annelids that are found. Well, I'm going to just delete these functions here so we could just do it from scratch so I could show you how this is done. So we're going to be using a function that you may have or may not have seen before, and it's called SUMIF. Now, SUMIF is an extremely potent function here where you denote some range. It could be values, it could be letters, and then the criteria for that range, and then the range that you are actually going to be summing from. Now, this is going to be a lot more clear when we actually do it here. So I want to know in this group of data of annelids of how many were found in pools. Yeah, we could actually pull out a calculator, just mentally add this up. Yeah, we know it's 7 plus 9. We could do that in our heads, no problem, right? 16. But what if we had our data set like this? So this is where these functions become extremely useful. So how many were actually found in pools? Well, we would start with the SUMIF command. So we're going to, as we start off with any Excel function with an equal sign equals SUMIF. Now, I'm going to highlight this letter range here, whether or not they're R's or P's. SUMIF, this range. Now, comma. If that range has within it a P, so I'm going to put that in quotes, then sum the corresponding number that's right next to the P's, and then I'm just going to highlight this entire range here. And there's 16. And that's true, because 7 plus 9 is 16. The same thing goes for the R's. It's done in exactly the same way, except the only difference is, except for this P quote, we're going to have an R quote. So, equals SUMIF. Range. Here's where our letters are. Comma. If within that range there exists an R, then, comma, any numbers that are associated with R, add them up. So I'm going to highlight the whole range again of numbers. And we have 12, and that's true because 8 plus 4 is 12. To do just a simple summation of all of the annelids, I would just use a function just called sum equals sum, and I'm just going to highlight the whole range of numbers here, and that will return how many annelids we have, and there are 28 of them. And this is how all of the orders are done, whether it's arachnids, bivalves, decapods, dipterans, and so forth. The same exact method is used with all of these orders. So this way I can do this quickly without having to resort to calculators or anything like that. Now there's another very interesting function that I wish to share with you, because part of the assignment is determining what the top 4 orders are in terms of abundance. Well, we can either scan down this small data set and do it easily enough. I mean, we could get the top 4 very easily. We just see the top 4 numbers here, trichopterans being the number 1 and so forth. But again, you wouldn't want to do something like that with a data set this huge from the Salmon River, right? So we're going to use a very interesting function known as rank. I'm just going to show you the syntax on that. Rank, you have a number that you're interested in and where that particular number ranks in a range of other values. So let's go back and let's see how this is done. But before I even do the actual calculation with rank, I want to name a range of numbers. I want to give it a name, because you can do that in Excel. You can not only name individual cells, but you can also assign customized names to ranges. Now, I want to highlight all of these numbers here. Now, you could go ahead and highlight the blank cells because they're not going to be counted anyway. So let me go ahead and highlight all of my abundance numbers here, my total numbers of trichopterans, plecopterans, and ephemeropterans, and so on. So I'm going to highlight this whole range here, which is going to include some empty cells, which is fine. Now, I'm going to name this range something, and I'm going to name it totals, or whatever you want. Right-click, define name, and I'm going to name it totals. The name already exists because I already did this previously, so we'll just kind of X out of that. So yeah, if I highlight this range, notice what happens. Look up at the name box here in the upper left. Notice the name is totals. So any formulas that I utilize and plug in the word totals will always reference this range of numbers, no matter where in the Excel sheet I happen to drop that particular formula, it will always reference that range. So let's talk about rank now. So rank equals, I want to know where the annelids rank in terms of numbers. So we'll put the function in the cell right next to it. So equals rank. Number, the number that we are interested in is the number of annelids, and that's this cell here, so I'll just left click it to reference it, comma, what is the reference or the range of values I'm referencing from? Well, it's totals, right? And notice that when you start typing it, Excel makes a guess as to what you want. And yes, totals is what I want. Double click. Close parentheses. And that ranks fourth. Now, since this